Transport Minister Ong Ye Kung said Singapore couldn't accept Malaysia's proposal to remove the system supplier and network operator.
Be clear about this, which is Singapore was not obligated to agree to any of such changes because we signed an agreement in 2016 already. But notwithstanding, we considered them in good faith. But we were unable to agree to one particularly significant change proposed by Malaysia. This involved the removal of the assets company, short form we call it Assets Co, which is the system supplier and network operator of the HSR service between Singapore and Kuala Lumpur.
Well, and in response to a question on whether the HSR's cancellation will affect the Singapore-Johor Bahru Rapid Transit System project, Mr. Ong reassured that the project will continue.
RTS is progressing well so far. The JB side have broken ground. On our side, we will break ground soon, and we hope the project and the service can commence in 2026 as scheduled.
Well, let's bring in Deputy News Editor Royston Sim once more. So, Royston, could you help us underscore the significance of the Assets Company, the Assets Co, and why removing it was a major sticking point and that contributed, to the termination of the entire project?
Right. Basically, this assets company, it would have been called by both countries via a joint international tender. They would have appointed a best-in-class industry player who would have come in, to design, to build, to finance and also operate all the trains, the rolling stock for this high-speed rail line, and also all the rail assets. So you're talking about the tracks, the power systems, the signaling systems, and so on. And it would also be the network operator, as the minister mentioned. So, let's take a step back and talk about high-speed rail line. It would have two components. One would have been a cross-border service from KL to Jurong East, and the other was a domestic service within Malaysia. And so this assets company, would have given, equal priority to, would ensure priority or parity between, the domestic service and the cross-border service. And so, over time, it would have, minimized the chances of any disputes or disagreements over the project. And this project would have spanned decades, a long time. And I think one important point that Mr. Ong made was that it would have protected the interests of both countries. And so that's why, the removal of this assets company basically, the minister described it as a fundamental departure from, the original bilateral agreement. And, so that's why, removing it is a no-go for Singapore. It's a very significant change that we just can't agree to.
Okay. Well, Mr. Ong, he also told Parliament that Singapore has spent about $270 million on this project so far. What did he say for compensation then?
Right. So this 270 million, comprises land acquisition costs, various abortive costs for different aspects of the project. So he said that compensation would cover the abortive costs, but not the land acquisition costs because, the value of the land, can be recovered over time. He also said that, because of confidentiality obligations under the HSR agreement, he can't disclose, the exact amount. So unfortunately, we don't know how much, Malaysia will compensate us over the project. But he also said that, the proceedings for compensation are underway and will carry on.
Right. I think several MPs actually brought up the issue of compensation, but he was not allowed to say because of what you mentioned about confidentiality.
Right. So the HSR agreement does set out, the amount of compensation, and the schedule of payments, but there's also a confidentiality clause, and that's why, we are none the wiser as to what this amount is.